Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a square to square transition but with an offset. So like this. We'll be working with a 2x2 square transitioning to a 6x6 square. And we're going to give it an 8-inch height. Like so. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with making the 6x6 square. Now, I will mention that I'm going to be taking some extra steps. So for instance, on this 6x6 square, you'll notice that I'm exceeding that length, and that's because I'm going to be using those extra inches on the lines to start throwing arcs. It'll make more sense once I start getting this laid out. So I'm going to extend this line really quick, and I'm going to put it back. I mean, you can do it either way, but this is just one way I do it. Okay, let's go ahead and make our 6x6 now. Get our compass and count to 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, sharp point right here where the vertical and horizontal lines meet. Strike an arc, swing it over, strike an arc. Put sharp point here now, and strike a random mark on top. Put sharp point here now, and we're going to crisscross the previous arc like so. Line it up to that. Okay, do the same thing on this horizontal line. Okay, so this is our 6x6 square. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the 2x2 square right here. So 1, 2. 1, 2. Now we're going to go here, 2 inches, 1, 2. 1, 2, and get this horizontal line going. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see through this mess. Now we've made the 2x2 square. 2x2. Okay, now let's go ahead and label these A, B, C, and D. So starting with the big square, 6x6 square, I'm going to label this corner here A, then this one B, C, and D. Let's do the same thing with the 2x2 square. I'm going to label it as A also, B, C, and D. Okay, let's go ahead and get a true length triangle going, so we can transfer this information onto the true length triangle. And we said we're going to give it an 8-inch height, so we're going to go 8 inches. Okay, So let's count up on the vertical line 8 inches, because that's the length or tall or the height that we're going to be doing our square to square transition with offset. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right around there. So that is our 8-inch height. I'm going to put tall right there, that mark. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly explain something really quick. So this video, I find it kind of hard to explain on making this, even though it's somewhat simple, but I'm going to be taking extra steps just so that it makes sense as far as starting points to start throwing arcs to accomplish this transition. So this is what I mean. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start my starting points on the 2x2 square. So what I mean is I'm going to be starting my sharp point always on the 2x2 square, but finding the last arc on the 6x6 square. And so that would mean that I would be doing this to find that, doing this to find this, doing that to find that, and the same thing with that. You'll notice that on other videos on doing square to square transitions, you can go either or, but just because this is an offset, I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible, and I'm going to be taking those extra steps so that it makes sense on the video. So what I want you guys to do is get the distance from A, so from A to A, B to B, so from B to B, C to C, C to C, or C to C, and then D to D, which is D to D. So, okay, so what you're going to be doing is, we know that from A to A, there's no deviation as far as the length goes, it's straight down. So what that means is on your true length triangle, right here, you're going to put A to A. So A to A. Okay, next, let's go and get the distance from B to B. So, get your sharp point, put it on B, and open up your pencil point to the other B. We're going to lock it in place like so. Put your sharp point on your true length triangle where the vertical and horizontal lines meet. Strike an arc. And you're going to call this B to B. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and get the distance from C to C. C to C. Okay, put your sharp point on C. And open up your pencil point to the other C on the 6x6 square. I'm going to lock it in place like so. Okay, put your sharp point in your true length triangle. Strike an arc. You're going to call this C to C. Okay, and then the last one, D to D. That's D to D. So, go ahead and put your sharp point on D. Open up your pencil point to the other D on the 6x6 square. We're going to lock it in place. Okay. Put your sharp point on your true length triangle. Swing it over, and you'll see that it shares B to B. So you're going to mark this as D to D, because the distance from D to D is the same as B to B. See that? So that's good. Okay. Now what we're going to do is do the starting points like I was explaining a couple of minutes ago. And this is just going to take a little bit more extra time, but it's going to be worth it so that it makes sense in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and start from here. I'm going to go down 1 inch. That's going to be our starting point. And normally for something like this, it'll make sense once you start doing this more often. You can just do this with just 2 sets of starting points, which is what I do. But again, this video is to make it make sense. So I'm going to make those extra steps so that it makes sense for all the viewers. Okay, so as you can see, our starting points are from here to here. So this is B, and this is starting point C. And then if I flip it this way, this is starting point C, and this is starting point D. So now what I'm going to do is on top, I'm going to put starting point A and D. A and D. So let's see, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go right here. So there's another starting point right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's another starting point here. Let me go ahead and extend that line really quick. Okay, and then the other starting point that we're going to want is this here. So I'm going to go ahead and put starting point B right here and starting point A right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another starting point right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the other starting point. Okay, let's begin and let's see if this makes sense. So let's go ahead and do, this is the top, this is the right side, this is the left side, and this is the bottom side. Okay, let's go ahead and start doing the top side. So I'm going to put my square to square transition right here in hopes that it makes sense so you guys can follow along. Right here. Right there. Okay, so starting point B is going to be here, and we want to reach to try to get to this B right there. So you're going to go from B to your 8-inch height. So let's start by doing B. So put your sharp point on B, B to B. Open up your pencil point to your 8-inch height. You're going to lock it in place like so. Okay. Put your sharp point now on your starting point B, which is this. And since this is straight up, you're going to go on this line right here. Strike an arc. Okay, so now you've established and you found this point right here. Now let's go ahead and find C. So C to C. So get your compass, put your sharp point on C. Open up your pencil point to your 8-inch height mark. You're going to lock it in place like so. See that? Okay. Now what you're going to do is put your sharp point on starting point C, which is going to be here. So starting point C, and you're going to reach to your 6-inch square, which is on this line here, which is this point right there. So you're going to strike an arc there, and now you found that point right here. So let's go ahead and make a line so you guys can see what the shape looks like. Okay, so that is this line right here. And let me get the pattern. So we do the top. So you guys can see this goes here. See, starting points. And then it ends here and here. See that? And that piece goes here. See that? Okay, let's go ahead and do the other one. So now that we got our top, now let's go ahead and do the bottom. So I'm going to put my square to square transition right here, and we're going to do starting points A, which is here, and D, which is here. Okay, so now we're going to go down this way, and we're going to be arching this way. So let's go ahead and get the distance from A to A. So here's A to A. So you're going to put your sharp point on A, and that's obviously going to go straight down. So in this case, it's going to be 8 inches. That's the total perfect length or height. And I'll lock it in place. Okay, you're going to put your starting point, your sharp point on A, which is right here, which is this point right here on the 2x2 square. And you're going to swing down this way. And you're going to strike an arc. Okay, you can see it's like right underneath this horizontal line, but the arc is right here. So this point right there is this right here. Okay, now what we want to do is try to find D. So we want to go from D to D, which is going to be somewhere around here. So you're going to get your compass, put your sharp point on D, and open up your pencil point to your 8-inch height mark. You're going to lock it in place. Like so. See that? Okay, now you're going to put your sharp point on D, which is here, which will represent this point. So you're going to put your sharp point there. You're going to swing, and you're going to go on to this line here, because that's your 6x6 square. So you're going to strike an arc. And this point is D, which is right there. So let's go ahead and get a line going. Okay, so now this point right here is this. So let me go ahead and get that bottom piece. So these 2 points go here, and then these 2 points go here and here. So as you can see, they're pretty close. They match, and that is your bottom portion. So this goes here. See that? Alright, so far so good. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the left side. So remember, this is the bottom, top, right, and left. So we're going to go ahead and do left side. So that's going to be starting point A, which is here, and then starting point B, which is here. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with A to A. So you're going to get your compass, put your sharp point on A, and open it up to your 8-inch height mark. And we're going to lock it in place. See that? Okay, now you're going to put your sharp point on A, which is here, which is here. That's your 2x2 square. And then you're going to strike an arc straight across. And that point is A right here. See that? Okay, now let's go ahead and find B. So we're going to go B to B. So B, and then B is going to be somewhere around here. So get your compass, put your sharp point on B, open it up to your 8-inch height mark. I'm going to lock it in place like so. See that? Okay, now what you're going to do is go B right here, and then reach out to this other B on the 6x6, which is going to be right around here on this horizontal line. See that? Let's go ahead and get a line going. Line this up to this previous arc right there, and make a line. Okay, now let's go ahead and find that pattern. So that's the left side. So that is this. So here's B here, A here, like so. And then A is here and B is here, and they should line up to this point right here. See that? So pretty close. So that pattern is for this. Pretty simple, right? I hope so. Okay, last one. Now we're going to go ahead and flip it, and this is the right side. Again, this is the top, left, bottom, and right. So let's go ahead and do the right side. So starting point C is going to be here for the 2x2 square. Starting point D is going to be here on the 2x2 square. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put it right here so you guys can see it. Alright, hopefully this is making sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with starting point D, which is going to be here. Put your sharp point on your true length triangle on D, and you're going to open up to your 8-inch height mark. You're going to lock it in place like so. See that? Okay, so now we're going to go D, D to D. Sharp point right here on D. You're going to go across here because this is your 6x6 square. And you're going to strike an arc. So this point now is going to be here. Okay, now let's go C to C. C, which is going to be here. So get your compass, put it on C. You're going to open up your pencil point to your 8-inch height mark. Oops, went a little over. Like so. We're going to lock it in place. See that? Okay. Now you're going to go to C, which is here. And you're going to try to find this C on the 6-inch square. So you're going to strike an arc right here. Okay. So that is that. Okay, let's go ahead and get the pattern to see if it matches. So what we made is this. So here's D and C, which is here. And if we let go, they're pretty close. So see that? So C is here to C, and then D to D is right here. Okay, then let's go ahead and put that on here, and as you can see, that's the match. So yeah, this was a little bit more difficult than I thought. The process of doing this is actually pretty easy, but explaining it, you almost have to have a, I mean, you don't have to have it, but you just have to have more or less a like a Tony Stark's vision, so that you can see this stuff in 3D and know how it's going to you know, act when you start throwing arcs. All these extra steps, like I was saying in the very beginning, normally when I do these things, you really don't need, for instance in this case, you really don't need to do this starting point and this starting point here, because all you really need is these two, only because you can start, it'll change the length once you start using your true length triangle. So for instance on this point here, you might find that if you just use these, you'll start another one to do the top and the bottom here, and then you can use these two starting points right here to find your left and your right for both sides, you know, depending on how you look at it. Alright, so that is pretty much it for this video, and I hope you got value out of it. If you know of a friend or a co-worker that can learn from this, go ahead and share this video with them. Let's go ahead and start getting more people to start learning how to do layouts. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.